on this computer. Okay. All right. So welcome to the Resume and Cover Letter Workshop presented by the Writing Lab at Antioch, Seattle. In this workshop, we will discuss how to gather the right information as you prepare your application materials. We can review a sample job description, discuss the basics of resume writing and strategies for crafting your resume, and discuss the basics of writing a cover letter. So that's what we'll cover. Okay, so the first part of this is, of course, to do your research about the organization that you are applying to. Looking up who the employees are on LinkedIn, checking out their website. But a good way to see about their qualifications would be to find someone that works there, check out their LinkedIn, what qualities or what qualifications do they have, and what are those kind of responsibilities. And that can help kind of inform how you present yourself, and also if the organization is a good fit for you. And then also figuring out what you can learn about the culture of an organization. So if you go to the organization's website and they're, talking about social justice, for example, that would say a lot about that culture and, the goals they're trying to achieve. So looking at their mission statement is a good one. Looking at who is even in leadership. You can usually see staff, looking at their pictures and their bios and things like that. So it's good to be pretty well versed in what's going on with the organization you're applying to. Okay, so research, learning about current employees. Okay, so we found this job description on Indeed. It's important to know if the company aligned with our values. So we looked at this website. I guess this is our example. So we looked at the website, and then looking up the company on LinkedIn can give some more information. Most importantly, if you know anyone who may be working there, or any alums that have been hired. And then, so like I said, just doing your research on the employer itself. I'm not sure what this link, I'm not going to click on the link right now, but we can, you all understand what I'm saying. If not, please let me know if anything about researching your employer or your potential employer is unclear. Okay, so let's say it looks like a good fit for you. Then what? So what you'll want to do is, collect any language you'll want to reference. So typically, if they're using certain language on their website, that it might be nice to also incorporate that same language into your application. So that way, sometimes there's algorithms that are filtering, and so those organizations are looking for certain words, and if those words are pinged, then your application comes through faster. I don't know much more about that, but I do know that some organizations are like that, where they're wanting you to use specific words or a certain language, and then you're able to kind of get through. Definitely reviewing the job description, what's going to be expected of you, and then making sure that you have the qualifications. So there's usually a section where it will say preferred qualifications, and then there's required qualifications. So for example, I'm in school to be a therapist, so I'm always looking to see what license do I need to have. Can I be an associate, which is pre-licensure, or are they looking for a licensed mental health clinician? And if they're looking for a license, then I know that I don't have those qualifications yet. So just making sure that you have, typically, if you have their required qualifications, you may get in, but you're more likely to get in if you've got that exact match that they're looking for, the required qualifications. Okay. All right, so important parts of your resume. So your education should obviously be there, but it's pretty brief. You're not really elaborating. You're just gonna have the school, the degree received, and the year. If you were, like on the dean's list or something, any kind of, if you graduated with honors or whatever, that stuff can go there as well. Obviously, you want to have the experience, your job experience. So the places you have worked and job descriptions of what you were specifically doing in that role. Keep job descriptions brief and use action words. This can include both job experience and relevant volunteer experience as well, and then any awards or accomplishments there. So when you're talking about your experience, you would say, communicated with vendors or something like that. So it's very active, or, organized meetings and events, things like that. So it's very active words that you're using. And it's always going to be your, like, your past tense. So it's like, or like, actually, maybe you could say present tense. You could say organize meetings, but if it's your past job, sorry, you would say like organized, right? Anyway, sorry if that's confusing. Okay, in your other parts of your resume, you can have a mission statement or objective. Okay, so they're saying that mission statements or objectives are unnecessary, and I've heard different things about this. In my experience, I would agree. I have not had a mission statement. I didn't have a mission statement for my resume that I sent to my internship folks, and they did not need that. And I also, just in my past with jobs, I haven't had an objective. However, you will hear different things. So I would say it's up to your discretion if you want to have it or not. But I think especially if you're pressed for space and you don't have a lot of space on your resume, probably leave it out. If your resume is looking a little bare and there is space for it, then sure. I don't see how it's not a good thing to have, but it's not something that should take up more space than your work experience, for example. Okay, your skills section is just general knowledge that may or may not be industry specific, such as Microsoft Word or client management database. It should be 1 to 3 word descriptions. So it's literally just like a list of skills. Depending on the job, right? You may want to include, like, for example, if you're applying to a restaurant and you have open table experience, that is something you would put. Whereas if you are not applying to a restaurant job and it's like more of an office job, you would, you choose the skills that you have that are most relevant to the job you're applying to. Okay. All right. So language. Okay, so here's more examples of this. So use action verbs to describe your experience. Change this. So took care of children who had behavioral problems. So instead of saying took care of children, you change this into assessed children. Yeah, so you see it's in the past. So assessed children with behavioral problems, designed and implemented action plans to improve behavior over an 8-week period, received thank you letters from 75% of parents of my clients. So it's kind of like you're using more elevated language. I would recommend, checking out a thesaurus, right? Checking out your dictionary and changing some of those, like instead of took care of, it's, assessed instead. So it's a little bit of like finessing and choosing the words that sound better. I'll just say it like that. You want to choose elevated language. Think about it like it's an academic paper and you're choosing the very best word that fits. And then if you'll also notice, instead of took care, now it's, oh, sorry. What? Okay, let's go back. Okay, so you see how took care is 2 words. Typically what will happen when you're using elevated language or academic language, professional language, whatever, it changes to 1. So that's a good way to kind of check that, like, am I using 2 words to describe this or 1? Okay, moving on. Okay, activity, identifying and listing your qualifications and experience. Oh, so I guess this is okay. Since normally we do this in person, so I think we're not going to do this. But this is something you can think about for yourself, writing it down for yourself, like just listing and thinking about what are all of your qualifications and experience before you put it on a resume. You can just like do that. Okay. So the cover letter is, the goal of the cover letter is to get your foot in the door. I would elaborate on that and say the cover letter is the chance to explain yourself more fully and to articulate things that cannot be articulated in the cover letter. For example, if you have, a strong passion for working with children, that's not, I mean, yes, your resume is going to show maybe that you've had tons of jobs working with children. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a passion for it, but the resume shows it's kind of like backup, it's like evidence. So in your cover letter, you can talk about the passion that you have as evidenced by all of your different experiences that you've had. So it's just another way of them getting to know you, getting a better sense of who you are and why you're a good fit for them. And then craft custom letters for each position for which you apply. Yeah, so yes, each letter is going to be individualized. However, I do have a thing in my own Microsoft Word where I have lots of different cover letters just saved. So I can kind of pick and choose from each of them, things out of them that will work depending on the position. So I have one for like restaurant jobs, and then I have some for education jobs, and then I have some for mental health, social work sort of jobs, because that's all the experience that I have. Those are all of the jobs that I've applied to. So instead of, like recreating the wheel every single time, you can recraft each letter with other letters. So it's not like you have to recreate the wheel every single time because some of the positions will be very similar, but you do want to make sure that there are specific language that matches your organization. So if it's an organization that's, for example, like Christian or something, and that's, your beliefs align with that, then you'll probably have more language about faith than, things related to that. Whereas if it's an organization that's about social justice, you'd have more language around social justice. So it's just slight tweaks to those letters each time. Okay. All right. So this is explain why you're sending a resume. So that's where I think passion comes in. You don't want to say like, I am sending you this resume because I need a job, right? It's more about, like I'm sending your organization the specific resume because your values and goals align with mine, or there's a passion here that it matches mine, whatever that is. State specifically how you learned about the position. um okay, that's fine. I would say maybe if it's like if you are being referred by someone else, that would be a good place to put that. um Convincing the reader to look at your resume, and that's where it gets into just having just interesting language and not kind of, like dead language. Like you want to have lots of active words, lots of in just like engaging material. So you don't want to have things in your cover letter that they can already just read on your resume. You're offering them something a little bit different. Call attention to elements of your background, especially if they're difficult to reflect in your resume. So yeah, this is a great chance to like again talk about who you are as a person, your passions, and like because those things don't always really come across in the resume. Um, and then provide or refer to any information specifically requested. So if some organizations, they have kind of like prompts, like things that they want to know about you, that is the opportunity in the cover letter to bring that up as well and to say like, like if they're like, why do you think, right? Why do you think you would be a good fit for this position? That's where you would put that in your cover letter. Okay. we will keep going. This is us, the writing lab. We're here. You can always bring us your cover letters or resumes, and we will absolutely do one-on-one appointments with you around your resume. Yeah, that is 100% something that we do. Normally, we're in the third floor of the library. We are not there now, but you can find us online, and you can always email us as well. So, yeah. How is this? Is this already done? Questions. Okay. So maybe we can just kind of spitball now. And I will, let me make sure. Yeah, this is our last. Yeah, that's the last slide. So I'm going to stop sharing. Whoa, what is going on here? Sorry about that. How do I, oh, stop share. Okay. So any specific questions that anyone has? We can use this time now to maybe talk specifically about, because there's so few of us here, so I think we can just talk to each other now, and I will stop our recording to